All right, today I have a Bosch dishwasher, and I'm going to talk to you about some tips that I've learned over the time of having this Bosch dishwasher that's helped me out tremendously. All right, so right here is the Bosch dishwasher that I have. It's blinking right now. I'm just going to go ahead and turn it off right here. And of course, you have all of the controls that are up here on the lid. And inside you have all of the dishes, and I'm going to go over that on the inside as well as the nice finish that it has on the outside, the stainless steel finish. So overall, I like this, but some of the tips that I have with this is washing dishes inside of this Bosch dishwasher. It has a lot of options right here. And some of my experience with all of these washes, I typically do speed 60. All right, speed 60 gives you, it's supposed to wash the dishes within 60 minutes, but I've changed the settings to where it does a little bit more features for it it actually goes up to 1 hour, 24 minutes. But the default setting is 60 minutes. Now, with this speed 60, yes, it does get the dishes clean. However, if they are heavily soiled and they have a scent like fish on your dishes, I typically would not do speed 60. Now, when you're doing speed 60, I usually use Cascade Platinum because that really gets the dishes clean. So the dishes will come clean for the most part, but if you have some scented dishes in there that have fish on them, it may still have a hint of fish afterwards. So if that is the case where you have dishes with fish that you've cooked with fish or really greasy dishes, I would suggest go ahead and do a heavy wash. Now, a heavy wash uses the most resources as far as energy and water. However, it will get the dishes very, very clean. All right. So if you're doing heavy and you're already doing a long energy resourced wash, why not go over here and do this right here? This is the Sanitize option. Now, when I use the Sanitize option, it actually sanitizes the dishes with a high temperature during the wash. Now, that high temperature actually helps clean the dishes even more. So if there is some fishy scent or extra grease in there, it is more likely to be washed away if you use the Sanitize option in addition with the heavy. Now, you can use the Sanitize option with the normal as well. Okay, you can do that on the normal. If you want to do that, you want to take a step down from doing the heavy, energy intensive, heavy option cycle, you can go to normal and still use the Sanitize option right there. All right, so that's the Sanitize option. You will not be able to use the Sanitize option for other cycles such as speed 60 or eco. You see, it will not allow me to do it for eco because it's not an ecologically earth-saving option. So you can't do it on speed 60 and you can't do it on eco, but you can do the Sanitize option on auto. Now that brings me to auto. Now auto, it automatically detects when the dishes are clean. I'm not exactly sure how it does that, but it has some sort of sensors in here that detects when the dishes are clean or when they're not clean. So the auto feature, I don't use that too much, but when I've had mixed results. I usually either go to heavy, normal, or speed 60. All right, so that's that. And the rinse is actually helpful. Like if you have some dishes that have stuck on things on the dishes, you can go to rinse and it will rinse the dishes and it'll spray the dishes with just plain water. It loosens up some dirt, but it will not clean the dishes, but it's good for a pre-wash type of option right there. It'll loosen it up, and whenever you're ready to do the wash, so for instance, if it's not too much later after you do the rinse option, it'll actually clean the dishes fairly well. So you have that. And then the eco mode, I don't really use that. I probably should because I'm trying to save the planet. All right, so that's it. Your cycles right here. On the options right here, I use the delay feature sometimes. If I'm going to bed and I don't want to hear the dishwasher, I really don't hear the dishwasher at all anyway because this is a silent, very silent dishwasher. But when it's draining water, that is kind of loud. And so sometimes I will put on the delay feature and that way I don't have to hear it all the way out. And then you have the half load. I haven't used that much. Usually if you have a half load, you use that. And then the delicate for dishes, you have grandma's fine china sitting up in there. I probably use a delicate. If you're even using fine china inside the dishwasher, you probably shouldn't. And then the extra dry feature, it works. The extra dry feature does work, but if you have rinse aid inside of your dishwasher, you will probably not have to use the extra dry. Use the extra dry if you don't know how to add rinse aid or you're out of rinse aid. That's the only time I use extra dry. That's the only time it's really necessary because the rinse aid actually does the trick, all right? So, speaking of extra drying dishes, rinse aid is very, very, very useful. So this right here, the rinse aid, you're probably wondering what it is. If you are, you probably find yourself with wet dishes quite often, I guess. So the rinse aid actually assists with drying the dishes, all right? So this is the rinse aid right here. It says recommends use Finish rinse aid. And look at what I have in my hand. Finish rinse aid. All right. So, and I use rinse aid because it helps dry the dishes. It actually helps with wicking the water off of the dishes by decreasing the surface level. Sounds technical, right? Well, it is. All right. So it decreases the surface level, the surface area of the skin. I don't sound very scientific right now, but it helps wick away the water. Just put it like that. Keep it simple. All right, so the rinse aid right here, always add rinse aid in here to right here. Keep it filled, and if it's not, it's gonna let you know up here that it needs to add rinse aid. Now, this thing drinks rinse aid like crazy. You'll find yourself putting rinse aid in here often. But in the controls, if you check your owner's manual, you can go in and actually adjust how much rinse aid is dispensed. You can have it to dispense more rinse aid, which will give you a greater possibility of having your dishes completely dry every single time, or you can use less and it still gets the job done, but it won't get it as completely dry, everything completely as dry as if you have the setting for using the most rinse aid per wash. All right, so that's the rinse aid. So now we're gonna go on inside. And inside of the dishwasher, you have in here, I have the dishes clean. It gets the dishes clean. There is a propeller right here and a propeller down there, or a sprayer, whatever you want to call it. And it gets the dishes clean pretty much every single time. I don't have much complaints with this. I usually keep the utensils right here, the pots on the bottom, some of the large jars on the bottom right here, and plates on the bottom. I don't have much in here. All of these are clean. And I put the bowls up top with the cups up top as well, and it gets it clean. And right here, I usually put knives and things that are odd shaped but flat at the top rack right there, and it gets it pretty clean. Now, in order to make sure that the Bosch is stays keeping your dishes clean, keeps on washing, you want to make sure that all the propellers are free in here, making sure that nothing is sticking below the rack, stopping any of the propellers from swinging around. All right, so make sure that is good. And so inside also, one thing with the Bosch dishwasher, you may notice that the dishes smell sometimes. The dishes may smell, the dishwasher may smell, but for some reason the Bosch dishwasher, it really smells bad. And so it's just like you have to on a regular basis use a washing machine cleaner. I use a Fresh to clean my dishwasher. Just drop one in and run it on a normal cycle, and it cleans it, and it'll get rid of a lot of the smell that naturally happens in here. And the reason why it happens is there is a pool of water here below the filter. You see this? And it traps in debris, and sometimes it can start to smell. Now, with that being said, you have to take out these filters and you have to clean it often. You see that there's gunk in there? You have to actually clean out all of this stuff right here for your dishwasher to operate properly and to not smell bad. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and put this in. So that's that right there. You always have to make sure that that's clean, or else you're gonna be stuck with smelly dishes and a smelly dishwasher. That's something that Bosch actually needs to work on future models, because that is really annoying. I've never experienced that with a dishwasher until I got to Bosch. So that's the tips on that. So washing dishes, normally I only have to put one Cascade pod in here, and it gets the dishes clean on a normal mode. But there are times where I have super greasy things like bacon in a pan, bacon pans, or pans that I cook bacon in, or something that's really soiled and greasy like that, where I actually have to add one Cascade pod in here, and I drop one at the bottom of the dishwasher, and I run it like that in order to get all of that grease off and make sure that the dishes are completely clean and not smelling like bacon afterwards. And then after I do that, the dishes are great and clean. So overall, the dishwasher is great. Make sure you get some stainless steel spray on here to make sure that the stainless steel is clean. If you use Windex, it will not look nice and neat. But overall, I like the Bosch dishwasher. Those are some of the tips that I have to offer. I hope they're helpful. Remember to read your owner's manual and abide by it completely. Thanks a lot.